Hi everyone, this is Bonnie from Good Earth Spa, and you are looking at a 3-pound loaf of Bonnie's Triple Butter Soap. It has a nice herbal lemon scent to it, and today I'm going to walk you through how to make it. This is probably the easiest way to make soap that there is, because everything comes pre-measured and pre-weighed out from the Essential Depot soap making kit. So here it is. This is the soap making kit, and I'm going to show you all of the exciting things that there are inside. Okay, so you open it up, and inside you have everything, including a silicone reusable soap mold. So let me take everything out. So when Essential Depot contacted me about putting together a soap kit, they wanted something that was really easy for any beginner soaper to start making soap right away with everything they needed and a tested and tried and true recipe that wasn't going to cause any problems. I'm really excited to do this and now share it with you. In this 1-quart bottle, you have all of your carrier oils, and that includes coconut oil, olive pomace, palm, and sweet almond oil, and they're all measured out already. Everything is already mixed in the perfect proportion. Even your lye is measured out, and your essential oils are measured out. In this recipe, we have 2 ounces of lemongrass essential oil and 1 ounce of tea tree essential oil. Together, they make a beautiful lemon herb scented soap. Also, because I really wanted this recipe to reflect my personality as a soap maker and the things that I really love about soap, that's why I chose essential oils, which I prefer over synthetic fragrances. It's my personal choice. Of course, I do use fragrances sometimes, but what I really love is butters. I love butters, and I'm so excited because essential oil has some new products. They have some mango butter, they have pure organic shea butter that's unrefined. That's very important that it's unrefined because it does make a difference in the quality of the shea butter. And they also have cocoa butter, and then they have some other butters. So when you're unpacking all of your cool stuff, don't throw away your box just yet, because I have a couple of tips later on and you may want to use this box again. So let's check out the soap mold that you're going to get. Like I said, this makes a nice 3-pound loaf. There we go. There's my loaf that I made yesterday in advance so you could see what it looked like. And this is the loaf mold. It's reusable silicone. It's safe for the dishwasher. It's safe for the oven. You won't have any problems with any of that. You could do cold process, you could do hot process, or cold process, oven process with the same soap kit, but today we're going to do cold process. Make sure you wear goggles and gloves. You want to protect yourself. Just because this is super easy and you don't have to measure anything, well, you're still working with lye, so on the off chance that you were to splash yourself, you don't want to have any problems. So be sure that you protect your hands and your eyes and work carefully. Everything else has been pre-measured for you, but you'll need to measure your water. If you don't already have a scale, you'll want to get one eventually. I'm using 12 ounces of water for cold process soap, which is approximately 1.5 cups of water. You could measure volume for water because you could actually use a little bit less or a little bit more. And this is my amount that I like to do for cold process soap. For cold process oven process soap, I like to use a little bit less. And so you can play with your water amount a little bit. That's why it's okay if you don't have a scale yet, you can go ahead and measure your water by volume. But it's important to remember in soap making, everything is normally measured by weight, and that includes all of your oils and your butters and your lye and your essential oils and additives, and anything that you use should always be measured by weight. The next step is to mix your lye into your water. I'm over here at the stove now because I'm going to turn on my fan. This does create fumes, and you want to work in a well-ventilated area, and don't put your head right over it. You don't want to breathe it in. So, water's variable, everything else is measured for you. Go ahead and mix it in and stir it. Your lye solution goes a little cloudy. Make sure it's well dissolved. It should be clear before you use it in the soap. It also gets very hot, so just be careful. The next step while your lye is cooling and you're stirring it every once in a while to make sure that it's well dissolved, you're gonna need to melt your oils down. So you have a 1 quart container here that contains all of your oils. You're gonna notice this seal here. You have the option of completely removing this metal seal and microwaving your oils down to a liquid state. But a lot of people don't like to use the microwave, and that's fine. If you do not want to use the microwave, you can do what I am doing, which is using a warm crock pot. Make sure your cap's on tight so that your oils don't leak out. Put it in here. I'm also gonna put my shea butter in there too, because the 2 ounces of shea butter come in this little pill bottle, and it will need to be melted in order to get it out. So I just let it all sit in there, and then by the time my lye is cooled down, my oils will be pretty much liquefied. We're also gonna have to melt down our butters. You have the same option here. You can submerge it in a hot water bath to warm up your butters gently, or you can put them in the microwave for short spurts until they're all melted. So I have my other oils are actually already melted, so I'm going to take my shea butter out, which is now liquid. And I'm going to add these butters. This is cocoa butter. I'm going to add this. Some of the smaller pieces will start to melt right away just from the warmer shea butter. And then we also have mango butter. Also, too, you might want to play around with these oils before you dump them right into the soap. These are pretty neat little oils. What I suggest, if you've never tried these so you can learn the properties of all of your oils and butters, just rub a little bit right into your skin and feel how nice that feels, how it soaks right in and it's just absorbs right into your skin. Those are the properties that you're adding to your soap, and that's wonderful. The mango butter and shea butter will melt into your skin really fast, whereas the cocoa butter, which has awesome skin softening properties, takes a little bit more heat to melt it, but it really gives a protective layer and sinks down in the skin. So using all 3 of these butters is going to make our soap very luxurious. So now that these oils are melted, and these aren't, I'm just going to put these in. You will need a container to mix in. You can use thick, sturdy plastic, or you can use Pyrex. I'm using this Pyrex measuring cup that has a 2-liter capacity, or 8 cups, 2 quarts. When your main carrier oils are all melted down, then just add this to your mixing container. While you're waiting for your butters to melt down and everything too, make sure you take the seals off your bottles of essential oils so they're ready to go when you need them. I just want to take a moment to give you some tips about the soap mold. Now that I've had the pleasure of working with these molds for a little while, you can learn from my experience. So when you put the soap in, especially if you fill it all the way up to the top, which we are not filling it all the way up to the top, it's going to be filled that much, okay? But say you wanted to use this mold, you're comfortable with making soap, you've developed your own soap recipe now, you want to reuse this mold for something else. If you fill this mold up too far, it will start to bow like this. So that's why I said maybe you want to save that box. If you put this soap mold back into the box that it came in, not only now do you have a soap mold, you also have a lid which will help you close it and insulate it for making cold process soap. Now supposing you really want to get busy, another thing that I love about these soap molds that I discovered, they are the same size as the Priority Mail large flat rate box. You can fit 3 in side by side by side. And since this recipe kit doesn't fill the soap mold up all the way, you could do this twice. You could fit 6 loaves of soap in this box and then ship your product out in the same exact box. That's 18 pounds of soap Actually a little bit over. It's actually just a little bit over 3 pounds, but you get the point. It's about 3 pounds. So you could fit 6 loaves of soap in this box and ship it for a low rate because the molds fit exactly the size of the box. I love that. Your lye is dissolved. It looks clear. There's no solid chunks on the bottom or floating on the top. It's completely clear and dissolved. The carrier oils are melted. The awesome skin butters are melted. The plastic seals are removed from the essential oil so that we can grab them easily. The soap mold is sitting over here in its box, ready for me to use, and I'm ready to get started. So for mixing, if you don't have a submersion blender, you can just use a spatula or you can use a stainless steel whisk. If you are mixing by hand, it will take a little bit longer, so just note that. Now it gets really easy. Pour your lye into your carrier oils, gently mixing at the beginning. Okay, now I'm going to get my stick blender. A lot of times these kind of have, you know, they hold air underneath, so I like to just tilt it a little bit to get my bubbles out. And then start mixing. You can see that the soap has now gone from more clear to more creamy, less see-through as it emulsifies. The oils and the lye are broken down into their components, and then they are rearranged into something completely different. They're turning into soap and glycerin molecules. Oils are great for the skin, and I like to have a little bit of extra oils. Actually, I like the skin butters, which are just solid oils. And that's why I love adding so many softening skin butters and moisturizing skin butters to my soap, because you really feel the difference. Okay, so when your soap is at trace, which is going to be a little bit hard to see here because it's a thin trace, but maybe if I kind of lift this up a little bit and show you. Trace happens when, I don't know if you can see that, you kind of see how I lifted it up and it's holding its shape, and the soap can actually sit on top of the soap, or you can drizzle it back and forth and draw lines. That's what we mean when we say a soap trace. Okay, just getting my bubbles out again. Add your butters in and mix well. Next, add the essential oils in and mix well. You could make an unscented soap here and save your essential oils for some other purpose. Still get great soap. It just won't have the same scent. Tea tree oil is great because it is actually like one of the best natural antiseptics that there is. It's antiviral, antifungal, antimicrobial. So now you can see that our trace is a little thicker. I don't even have to lift the bowl for you to see that we have a soap trace here. You can see it just as I lift the soap up and change it around. See all that? I can make designs on the top. That's because my soap is at a nice trace right now. Thinner trace, it's harder to see. Thicker trace, you can practically stack it on top of each other and make cute little cupcakes. All right, now it's time to put it in the mold. Once you get to trace, whether it's thin trace, thick trace, medium trace, whatever kind of trace, as long as it's at trace, you can mold it. If it's not at trace, you don't want to mold it. This smells so good right now. It reminds me of Fruit Loops. So citrusy and sweet with an herbal twist. So I'm just going to go through, stir it a little bit in the mold. You can get fancy here and use a chopstick and make some swirls. You can do that. Let's do that. Maybe some swirls going the other way in the middle. And I just made soap. Awesome! So now go ahead and close this up. And the next thing you'll want to do is you want to find some towels to insulate your soap. We want to keep it warm. We want the natural heat from this reaction to stay in there with the soap so it can go through a nice little gel phase. So this might not be enough towels. I don't think it's going to be enough towels, so I'm going to go grab some more towels and I'm going to make sure I insulate this. So as I'm filming this, it's winter time. It gets pretty cold. It gets pretty drafty sometimes. So I'm putting this big, fluffy, cushy bath towel all around my soap so it can stay really, really warm and insulated. While my second loaf is setting up, I'm going to go ahead and cut my first loaf. This is a loaf cutter that I'm using. You can also just use a cutting board and a kitchen knife. You don't have to buy anything fancy like this. You can if you want to. If you want to, I'll post some links below and tell you where you can get all this cool stuff. But you don't have to. You can just use a regular knife. Be careful. The soap texture is kind of like cutting cheese, so just be careful. It will get harder as it ages too. So I'm using a little crinkle cutter, which gives my bars a cool little crinkle look. Look how cute that is. I'm now going to perform a pH test just to make sure that my soap is nice and mild. Since everything is already measured for you, you shouldn't have any problems with the pH being too high, but it's always a good idea to get into the habit of testing every single batch that you make. So I'm going to show you how I do that. I just need a little piece of soap like this. I need my pH testing strips that you can get at either a scientific store locally or you can order them online. You need one. I like to cut them in half because they last twice as long. It's a nice frugal little trick that you can do. So basically what you do is you take your soap, put this aside for now, and I'll just keep it where you can see it so you can see that it's the same thing. Can you see that? There you go, put it there. I'll get it just in a second. You want to wet this just a little bit, not a whole lot, just enough so that you can, you know, lather it up a tiny, tiny bit. Okay. So, there you see. It's not going to make a whole lot of bubbles because I only used a tiny bit of water. But I just want it to be really soapy so I can pick up the pH of the soap. Paper changes color just a tiny, tiny bit. Not a whole lot. You take this and you compare it over here. The correct soap pH, soap needs to be cured until it's a pH of 8 to 10. This has a lot of extra butters in it, so it's already pretty mild. You can see that it's about pH 8, which means the soap is actually safe to use right away, but you will want to give it a couple weeks just to cure out the excess moisture that's in the soap, which will result in your soap being harder and longer lasting, and it'll just be a great soap. So you can see what all the other colors are on your pH testing strips, and you can see that it's closest to 8. So this is a nice mild bar.